Let's talk about some great games that overstayed their welcomes with our good friend Marty Slebo, who we only want to bring on for a little while before
Our
he
dirtiest
overstays
house
his.
guest ever.
The filthiest house guest.
Beyond!
Beyond.
What's up, baby? How are
How's
you?
it going? It's
You
going
look
really
good
well.
today.
This is kind of broke.
You can't win that out, although I know you've probably done a lot of embarrassing things this year.
I did a lot of bad boy moves this
Well,
year.
send us an email at upatnoon@ign.com and just get out of here.
I have a cool Hotmail account.
So let's talk about video. I'm sure you do. you have an iPhone 4, so that wouldn't surprise
So you have a
me.
room temperature account.
Let's talk about some games this year, or maybe even games in general, that have overstayed their welcome. And obviously,
Yeah.
I'm talking about games that are awesome, that you're having the greatest time with, but then just stuck around a little too long.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like the older we get, the more the free time becomes a commodity. It's like this thing that we don't have a lot of. And so, like, yeah, when we were in college and we were in high school, like 100 hours of Fallout and 200 hours of Witcher and Metal Gear all seem great. But now I like games that respect me.
Which, by the way, we're all pretty old men sitting here. None of us have kids or anything.
No. I
Like,
don't-
we really, I mean, we don't really have a time. We work video game jobs. Like, there's video games on the desk right now. We don't really have an excuse, but still, time is valuable.
I have a drinking problem.
That's a big thing
Yeah.
that we should talk about on a different show someday.
That's up at 1 p.m.
Up at 3 a.m.
Up at noon wasn't good enough. You didn't sleep more than that. So, what game would you say has overstayed its welcome this year the most?
Besides your drinking problem.
Not well. So mine's not this year. Mine's what our little art behind us is. The one that came to mind immediately when Zach asked me this was Skyward Sword. You know, Skyward Sword is one of those games. Like, I loved the opening, I loved the art style, and I'm like, this is it. Once every generation, we get a meaty Zelda experience, and this is gonna be something special. And then I played it, and then I started having to go back to the same worlds, and then I got to a point where I found all these things, and this real mean lady crushed them all, and then sent them everywhere else in the world again. I'm like, I think I'm done with this.
There was a point about maybe 20 hours in a Skyward Sword where I was 45 minutes into a temple without knowing I actually was.
Yep.
Like you were just, you're going through the motions at that point. And you're right in that it ditched a lot of these sort of adventure and exploration aspects and doubled down on revisiting old areas over and
totally.
over, which it's like, I'm not going to say cheap or lazy because I hate when those words get thrown at developers, but it just felt disingenuous to me as a big Zelda guy who loves exploring vast fields and canyons and stuff like that to have to keep going back to the same few spots.
Yeah, totally.
I felt that way about, and this is going to be tough for some people because this is one of the best games ever made, but Resident Evil 4, towards the very end of that game, became a weird military shooter.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, totally.
It was somewhere halfway through, flipping over to the second disc. It was just you in these canyons fighting these guys with turret guns
Yeah.
and machine guns, and you're like, "Where's the
Like,
survival horror?"
remember I started in a village and a cool man with a potato head.
I had
sack.
put an eyeball on a wall.
Yeah.
Like it was very Resident Evil to start.
We
Yeah.
get this expectation that's kind of been set up by games as they've gotten older that you have to fight a certain number of enemies, you have to spend a certain amount of time doing a thing, and that really, you know, something that's maybe difficult the first time isn't difficult the second time, but if you
Right.
do it 15 times, maybe it's a little bit tedious just enough that it is sort of the illusion of difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went back and replayed Uncharted 1 in the HD collection, Nathan Drake collection. That's a game that's like, it's not bad by any means. It was definitely, I'd say, pretty groundbreaking in terms of how it approached a lot of stuff.
And it laid the foundation for
Yeah.
what would become one of the best
Yeah, and
series.
Uncharted 2 is miles beyond
Yeah.
that. But the first one,
Beyond.
it's very clear they spent, they spent a lot of time and money making these environments,
Yeah.
and so I think they kind of felt the need to reuse them.
Yes.
And this is a very common trick that I think developers do, where they're like, we built this level, man, we spent a lot of time building that level. Let's have people go through it and then back through it.
That is
Yeah.
a cardinal sin.
Which
Yeah.
I feel like, well, not necessarily because there's ways to handle that well. Like I think Metroid Prime does it a lot. Probably a little too much sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think the way they handle that, which never happens really in the Uncharted game, or the first one at least, is giving you a weapon that lets you access new areas. Tomb Raider is very good at that. It's sort of, hey, you're back in this area. You can shoot a grappling hook up here. Almost said rope up to the top, and
I mean, it is a rope.
it is a rope.
Not
You
the
can
ropes
shoot a
we
rope
talk about,
and
but-
climb up and get into a cave that you've never been into. Ropes will get you into caves, and sometimes you're already in one. And eventually, you can check out an area that you've never seen before or may never see again.
Yeah.
But some games don't do that. They just let you back in a big vast area, and you just have to shoot 50 dudes, and then on the way out, shoot 50
You guys,
more.
you
and-
guys play that Aliens Colonial Marines?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a game that was like 3 hours long and still
Oh my
managed to
God,
overstay
that's
its
a
welcome.
perfect example.
Well, dude, not even that.
But
Like
Alien Isolation.
Alien Isolation
Yeah.
was another one, which was like a 17-hour long game, and everything I played from the demo was amazing and terrifying. And I'm sitting there with surround sound headphones on, and it's dark, and I don't mean the demo. I went and played it at an event, and I'm like, I can't wait to play this. And then someone told me, I think it was Ryan McCaffrey who was reviewing it. I'm like, how long did it take you to finish this game? He was like, 15, 16 hours. I'm like, that's ridiculous. That's more than every Alien movie combined.
Yeah.
It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
It should have been a 5-hour game. You know?
The one important thing to mention about Resident Evil 4 is that, a lot of the last act of the game is bloat, but at the end you get to go on a jet ski with the president's daughter and make love to her.
Spoilers, you do not make love to her. That is not true. She wants to kiss and you say no because you're a
What
good man.
else are you gonna do on a jet ski?
Jet ski?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good answer.
All right, I don't want to. Should we kick him off? I want to keep you around. Can we keep him around?
Keep you around.
All right, we're keeping you around. We're sticking around. We have a few
I
minutes
think,
left here on the show.
Obviously, games that overstay their welcome aren't necessarily bad games.
No.
I would say
Yeah.
that Metal Gear Solid 5 is a prime example of a really, really good game that could have been a whole lot shorter.
Yep.
If they made it so that all of the story missions were kind of at the front of that game and you
Yep.
could beat the game but still have a ton of like bonus stuff on the
Totally.
side,
Yeah.
that would be really
Yeah.
cool. But instead, it's like a 90-hour experience.
There's also weird examples of like looking at movies. Alexander, the movie that Oliver Stone directed like 10 years ago, they released a director's cut that was 45 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so like the movie came to DVD and he was like, I made a big mistake. So this movie's now 2 hours and 10 minutes long.
That's
as opposed
awesome.
to 3 hours long.
You never hear that happening.
No.
You know, it's always, especially like Lord of the Rings or something like
Yeah.
that. If you watch all 3 of the director's cuts of those movies, you're a father with 3 kids.
We've got 16 additional minutes of Aragorn and Kate Winslet looking at each other. Kate Winslet
Winslet
is
was not even in that
in the
film.
film.
That's
She's
incredible.
she shows up
Yeah.
through a portal.
All right, well, this
lost.
bit overstayed its welcome, just like the games
Yeah.
we're talking about.